Hi, today I'm here to talk to you about online therapy. Now, there's a couple of different things, actually, three, that people mean or might mean when they are referring to online therapy. And there may be more, but these are the three that I think of. Uh, the first is when you are only speaking with but not seeing one another. Uh, so, as if you're on a telephone, or maybe you are on a telephone. The second is when the therapist and client text or send emails back and forth to each other, uh, like usually not in real time. And the third one is the one that I will be discussing today, and that is when the client and the therapist see each other and hear each other through video screens, whether it be the telephone, their computer, et cetera, in real time. And this is the type of online therapy that I'll be discussing. There are a lot of benefits to online therapy, but often people have this belief that it's not as preferable as seeing a therapist face to face. In other words, doing therapy in a therapist's office. And I myself felt the same way at one point. But there was a clinician with whom I wanted to work. She had a set of tools and a skill set as an ACT therapist that I wanted to be exposed to. And she lived in a different country. So, despite my reservations and trepidations, I went forward with online therapy with her and was blown away. It was a game changer. I was amazed at the connection that we were able to have just by looking at each other through our computers. And that was the biggest takeaway. But then, I was aware of the fact that I didn't have to drive to yet another appointment. I didn't have to squish something additional into my already crazy busy life. And I didn't have the stress of the possibility of traffic or bad weather. If either the therapist or the client have car trouble, this does not necessarily mean that treatment can't go through. If one or the other has a contagious illness, this is not necessarily a roadblock to having the session. So it all just really added up for me, and it took a while. But eventually, I realized that my experience as a client and my potential experience as a therapist myself could align. And I decided to open an online only therapy practice. For years, I have owned a brick and mortar in-person mental health practice. But this experience was so positive and such a game changer for me. All the positives, all the things added up, and I really didn't feel that I was missing out on anything. And so I have gone forward and made a career shift as a result of my positive experience. So, while there are some folks for whom online therapy may not be the best mode of treatment, and that's the kind of thing that the potential client and the therapist can figure out in a consultation. So, in some cases, there are cues that might be missed by an online therapy session. For example, if a client's hygiene went downhill, or their body or their breath smelled of alcohol, or they smelled like marijuana, these are things that wouldn't be readily obvious in an online session. And perhaps if somebody had an eating disorder and they were losing a lot of body weight, that may be lost as well on the clinician. Now, I'm not saying that there aren't workarounds and that there aren't fabulous clinicians that can see folks in these situations. I'm just saying for myself, these would be things that I would want to think long and hard about and make certain that that was appropriate. But in general, I just think that online therapy is a wonderful, convenient, amazing addition to the therapy world. And if you had up to this point considered online therapy to be the lesser of two therapeutic choices, I would strongly encourage you to do an online consultation with a therapist with whom you'd be interested in working, and see for yourself. You might be pleasantly surprised. I know I was. Thanks.